Hi there, Jesse with etrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at and I'll show you how to install the etrailer Class 3 hitch on our 2025 Acura MDX. Adding a hitch to a vehicle like the MDX makes a lot of sense, especially in the case of our vehicle today. Our neighbor has third row seating and plans on almost always having all three rows filled with people. So this gives them the ability to add on a cargo carrier for extra cargo space and also a bike rack or something like that. It also opens up the possibility to do some light duty towing with this hitch. Now for a closer look at our hitch, as you can see we have completely hidden cross beams and a really nice matte black finish that goes well with the lower trim panel on the MDX, which is also that same finish. We have a standard 2" by 2" receiver opening. It's going to fit most of your accessories or anything you would add on. And behind that, our pinhole is also standard. It's a 5/8 inch pinhole. The pin and clip will not come included with the hitch. However, we have many options available here at etrailer. Also, any accessories that you might add on will most likely have them included. Then for our round safety cable loops, these are really nice. They work well with any style safety cable that you might have, whether it be a clevis style or just your standard quick link. Now for some measurements. From the ground to the top of the inside of the collar is about 14.5 inches. Just keep that in mind for any accessories that you might add on for ground clearance. From the center of the pinhole to the edge of the bumper is about 3.5 inches. Keep that number in mind for any folding accessories that you might add on, just to ensure that they don't make contact with the vehicle. As for the capacities of the hitch, the gross trailer weight will be 6,000 pounds. That's the amount of weight that you can pull behind the vehicle. The tongue weight is 900 pounds. That's the amount of weight pushing down on the rear of the vehicle. So keep those numbers in mind and compare them to the numbers for the towing capacities in your owner's manual. Choose the lowest out of those just to ensure that you're safe on the road. A question we get asked a lot is, once the hitch is installed, will my hands-free liftgate assist still work? In the case of the MDX, it does still work. We had to make some minor modifications to it, but it still functions as it should. You'll just have to kick to either side of the receiver. You won't be able to kick in the middle, of course, because the receiver is there. All in all, if it were my choice, my vehicle, this is definitely the hitch that I would install on it. I just think it looks great on the back of the vehicle. It really matches this lower panel well. As far as the install goes, it's pretty simple. Like I said earlier, we did have to make some minor modifications to the liftgate assist. So if you want to see how we got ours set up, stick around and follow the video. If this is not something that you're ready to do on your own, maybe you just don't have the space or time or tools, then check out our dealer locator and you can find somebody that's willing to help you out with the process. But if you do want to see how we got ours, stick around and follow the video. So first step will be to lower our spare down. We already got that down and took it off out of the way. If you're working on the ground, you really can just lower it down and leave it lay on the ground. Now we'll look into our weld nuts. We have 3 on each side. So it's a good idea to come in with a wire brush, clean those up, and then once they're clean, run your bolts in and out a few times. Just for when you're lifting the hitch up into place, sometimes there's a lot of dirt and debris in here. You don't want to be carrying the weight of the hitch and then also fighting some rough threads in there. So we'll get all 6 holes cleaned out and then we'll move on to the next step. When it comes to models like this one that have a kick sensor back here, we found in the past that when we try to lift our hitch into place, this is just obstructing us a little bit. So we're gonna have to relocate this. So I'll start by removing it. First you'll need to unplug it, so pull back on the gray tab, push your pin down, pull it out, and then come in with a flathead screwdriver or a pin removal tool. Pop these off. For now, I'll just kind of Leave that hanging up there out of our way. Now we have 4 Phillips screws to remove and 2 push pin fasteners. On these, you just kind of work your way under the center piece, slide it out, and then they should pull out. Now we'll take this over to a place that we can work on it. Here's what our kick sensor looks like removed from the vehicle. These are just 2 antennas running along the length of the rear fascia and then this module. So what I'm going to do is, since the hitch is only pushing on the center of it, I'm going to make a cut right here so we can mount the bracket. Of course, I'm going to uninstall the antenna first so we don't cut through that. And then I'll make a cut here so that we have a way to keep the antenna up and out of the way. Like I said, before we cut, we need to make sure our antenna is out of the way. It just slides out of these clips. So we'll do that. And on the other one, just want to make sure that we're not cutting through that, because then our kick sensor will not work. So kind of keep those off to the side. Now we'll make our cuts. I'm using a multi-tool. You could also use a Dremel or something like that. I'm just going to cut right past these clips so I can still use them, and then again on the other side. So once again on the other side, I'm going to cut right past this so I can still use this clip. So now that that's cut, we'll reinstall our kick sensor here. I'm just going to hand tighten it for now. We'll take our other panel. We'll have to clip our antenna in first because those go behind it. Should just push on the top and the bottom. And with that there, we can slide it down. We'll get our fasteners reinstalled. And get our push pin on the other side. So we had this all mocked up, and then we tried to fit our hitch in. We were still running into fitment issues where we were bumping into these plugs. So what I'm going to do is actually rotate the module 180 degrees. So it's just held in by this one T10 Torx. Remove that. And then this will slide out. We'll take this, rotate this so the plugs are on the outside. Just get everything lined up there. You'll see there is a hole on the other side that matches. So we'll just put our T10 Torx screw back in. So we got this all mounted up with our Phillips screw and our push pin. To plug this back in is kind of tight, but it should be just fine. You may have to remove some of these push pins just to get some slack out of it. We got this all in position and we should be ready to lift our hitch up. For all of our bolts or hardware that we're installing today, they're going to install the same way. You'll have the conical tooth washer with the teeth facing up towards the hitch, and the bolt, of course. So we'll install all of these then get them tightened down, and then we're ready to torque. For this step, it's a good idea to have an extra set of hands just to help hold the hitch above your head. In this case, I have my friend Aiden here to help me. So we're just gonna lift this up. You kind of have to lift it up back over the exhaust and then push forward a bit. Once you have a hole lined up, you should be able to thread a bolt in. You may have to wiggle it around to get everything lined up. We'll just thread it in a bit and let that hang, and we can install the rest of our bolts. Now we'll need a 22mm or a 7/8 socket will work just fine. We'll tighten down all 6 bolts. We're ready to torque all of the bolts down. We're just going to torque them down to the specification listed in the instructions. If you don't own your own torque wrench, we do have them available here at eTrailer, or you can always rent one from your local auto parts store. So I'll just go through all 6 bolts and get them torqued down. With everything torqued down, all that's left is to reinstall our spare tire. Other than that, that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the eTrailer Class 3 hitch on our 2025 Acura MDX.